hide and seek. Prepare to be caught. Here I come now. Let's play hide and seek. Hiding on the playground. No one dares to make a sound. Round and round and round and round. No one wants to be first found.
IGG investigation never even actually happened. What the hell does that mean? Well, it means, remember that time that Bill Thompson was all like, oh, well, never mind. Let me just show you.
Ask for DNA workups on other people to the extent that they don't have them, they weren't done. We can't produce something that doesn't exist.
So, this is Neeks Peaks, and she rocks. Love her. She is just the bomb. I love her. She's just so great. So, I'm going to be taking some clips from her stuff today. And I'm not sure how these earbuds, I've got a new headset thing, and I'm not sure how it sounds. It almost sounds kind of echoey. I think it's the last time I used it. So, I'm pulling one of my ears off my ears. Does that make sense? Anyway, back to the story. Back to the investigation. So, this part irks me to no end, as it always has. As it has to many of us. Now, which also brings up the question, the 3 other DNAs they found, which, 3? I mean, that house had people in it everywhere, all the time. How did they only find 3 other pieces of DNA? That's weird. That's weird all on its own. I mean, that is stupid. That's stupid. It's stupid that they would ask us to believe something like that. And then continue to ask us to believe something like that. I mean, yeah, maybe in the beginning they threw that out there, and then we all just sat around and had a good laugh. Only 3 DNAs. Oh, that's so funny. Oh my god. I mean, oh my gosh, seriously? I mean, if each of them had a boyfriend, there's way more than that right now. And, oh my gosh, we've got Hunter and Emily and friggin' Emma. And let's see, Conrad. And, let's see, what's his name? Lives on Taylor. Oh yeah, Taylor Robnet. Yeah, that guy. I mean, you name it. Everyone in Sigma Chi has been in the house, right? And probably the Delta. And all the sorority girls. I mean, even Moye talks about being over there, when they used to be in the sorority, Yeah. What about them? What about Parents' Weekend? The parents were just there. What about the Chapin's DNA? They, in an interview, said that they stayed at the house. What about Hunter, the brother, and Maisie? They had to have been over there. I mean, they were there that morning. From what everybody said. L.E. even says the phone was passed around to multiple people that were in the house. The phone call came from in the house. The 911 call. There's all those people. What about the EMS that they claimed was there, then they weren't, then they were there, then they weren't. But the police report says they were there. Go figure. What about Bill Thompson's? His DNA was in there. Fry should have been in there. Payne should have been in there. Mabbitt should have been in there. Smith, Jones, Nunez, Blaker, you name it, should have been there. Dellinger, all there. Already, I've lost count. So, what's up with that? 3, and the 3 that they do claim that's there, they know they're males. They said they were males. So they did some type of DNA on them. So how come they can't tell who they are? I mean, they couldn't tell who Bryan's was because he wasn't in the thing you go look at. See, I don't know those kind of things. I mean, it's kind of, I know what it is. It's CODIS, whatever. But you know, I like to play dumb on those things. So somebody else does it for me. No, just kidding. Well, I'm kidding and I'm not kidding. Because, I mean, I really don't know much about that kind of stuff. But I do understand it somewhat. So, I prefer to be, you know, to get my brain beaten on those streets and just getting, like, down and dirty and digging holes. Digging up holes. Oh, that's digging up bones. Yeah, that's my preference. But what about those? What about them? Tell us a little story, Billy, of how come you won't check out that DNA further. Is it because you know who it is? I'm starting to believe, well, I've kind of always believed a little bit of it, but there's so much right now going around that connects in my brain that doesn't like totally connect like the fraternities and all that kind of stuff and the sororities. But if you think about it this way, it does, because there's got to be someone up in there that's the watcher, the talker, the one that's getting all collecting the info, collecting the data from the house. Data meaning even the people in the house talking amongst themselves. I mean, remember, just even Jake and Maddie and that one little TikTok they did. Oh, I think we're being watched or eavesdropped on. So I think it was eavesdropped. I think somebody's eavesdropping or something. It's just a funny little, those clips they do where they mimic like a saying or something in like an old movie or something like that is what they were.
Are you ready to go crazy?
I'm already hearing voices!
Are you ready to...
SpongeBob, Patrick, don't you mind?
Let's continue this conversation in private, Patrick. I think some people are eavesdropping.
We're doing. And I mean, there's other things too. Even Kaylee's things I value list. That right there is a huge one for me. When I first saw that list, immediately my first thought was, there's clues in here. There's clues in here. Hands down, there's clues in here. And because of all the stuff that we had heard and learned about Kaylee, is that this wasn't making sense. So that things I value list, I think, in my opinion, is very important. Thank you to her sister for putting that out there. So the thing on that list that makes me connect the surveillance type stuff is that one of the things that was important to her is her alone time. And she put in quote in parentheses, in my room. Well, why would you get alone time in your room? Unless you were being surveillanced. Okay, right here it says my space. And in parentheses it says room plus upstairs plus alone time. That tells me somebody's watching in and she doesn't feel like she's got any time to herself where she's not being looked at. And she did have one of those good vibe signs in her room, which I think is covering up some type of peek hole or camera, peek hole where there's a little camera in it or whatnot. Or just from, having the balcony room. And that's another thing. Okay, let's just talk about this one. She was new to that house. There was other people that were already in that house already. Why did she get the cool room? And that's, the upstairs one with the balcony, and it seemed, fairly decent size. And the closet was strange. Like that cutout, the inlaid part, like it was set back, like it was like a cutout closet, I don't even know how to explain it. Like a decorative indent around the closet, it seemed. It's even hard for me to, excuse me, to explain what it is, because that's hard for me to. The pictures I see of it, it's not clicking in my head what it is. Like, it's my visual to my thinking pattern of trying to, like, get a schematic of what it is in my head just doesn't click, because I don't understand what it is, what they've done, or what that decorative thing is. I don't know. So what it makes me feel like is that there's something like inlaid inside there, something. I don't even know how to explain it, like I said. But how come she got that room? How come somebody else didn't get that room? Did she get that room because it was wired for sound? Don't know. Don't know. And we'll never know. Because they tore it down. And they didn't tear it down because it was an eyesore, because it was bothering the students. They didn't tear it down because of that, in my opinion. Because prior to them demolishing that house, I don't know this for sure, but I have a friend who is a professional demolition guy. And he travels all over the states. In fact, most of his demolition has been in the past many years has been in Hawaii, and that's where he actually resides now. But we've talked about demo and the things that they go in and they do before a demolition, and sometimes it's like this, sometimes it's not. But one of the things they do, certain like if it's a private homeowner or something like that, even the big huge buildings like office buildings and stuff, they'll take things out and reuse them, like office desks and sinks, and I mean just all the stuff that's inside there that can be taken out and used by someone else, or put into another office where maybe they're not, the building is a better building, but say they got new equipment and they don't want to just toss it. All that stuff comes out, and a lot of times they'll have people that go in and they take the wire out. They pull the wires out because all that copper wire in there, that's worth the money. And if they can get someone to go in there and take that, then that's less stuff that they have to haul to the dump. And then what they do is they look at the schematic and the plans of the place, and then they go in and they cut out like certain beams, like support beams, or sometimes even walls. They'll just take out a whole wall. And they know the schematics, they see it, so it's safe. But of course, they always play, safety's a game. So that's so that depending on how big the building is, the explosives, sometimes they use that. Other times they just use what they did over there at the King House. But they'll put explosives in certain parts of, the walls and stuff, to where it basically it implodes on itself, like it just kind of sucks itself in and just kind of crumbles down. But that's what's really interesting, because that's what it looked like this house did. Now, why would they need it to do that? Because this house wasn't big enough to have to do that. We're talking a high rise is the things they do that stuff to. They don't put explosives in a home that size to tear it down. It's not necessary. They don't need to do that. But this house came down like a house of toothpicks. It just gave it. It just gave up. It just gave up and crumbled. And that's not normal. The way that, yeah, it's a big piece of equipment they use. Yeah, that's going to do some damage. But like that? No. It just went to sleep. It just went. That's because, in my opinion, they went in and they took the wire, they took all that stuff out. We didn't see any sinks, we didn't see any toilets, we didn't see any shower stalls or tubs. Quite frankly, I don't even know if we saw any hardware from the doors and the cabinets and stuff, was there any hardware that you guys saw? I don't think so. No fridge, no stove. There, earlier on, there was even on one of the videos that showed that one of the cupboard in the cabinet doors in the kitchen was outside by where the guard shack was, like on something out there. It looked like one of the cupboard doors had been taken off, and that's where it was for some reason. I'm not sure why it was there, but that's what it looked like. So they're mindful enough to do that. I'm damn straight sure they were mindful enough to pull out all the nefarious stuff behind those walls. Because we all saw that cutout, right? That little cutout that looked like it. I think Crime Circus Dripped Out said it was that he thought it looked like it was behind the refrigerator, which it could very well have been. I don't know myself. It kind of looked. Yeah, I'm not going to go there because I don't know. I have my speculations, but there was something just not right about that whole setup because, first of all, that wasn't a sorority house. That was the frat boys' house. And and that's pretty obvious because they were always there. That's where they did their dealings. Shipment came in. They all showed up with backpacks. They were handing shit out windows. They were out the back door. I mean, they were like circling that place like freaking turkey vultures. You know? And then they disperse like little freaking ants and go from where they needed to distribute the product that they just got delivered. Now, did that delivery come from UPS, FedEx, an Uber driver, a private driver, a university private? They have their own little thing over there too. So does Wazoo. Who was that delivered by? How did it get there? Well, in the story, the true story called Among the Bros, they got their stuff, their bars and stuff like that, from their X-bars from China. And they would come via UPS and FedEx. And then to distribute, like the guys that come over there with the backpacks on to get the goods, to distribute them, the party goods, they used pledges to distribute it. And if you don't know what a pledge is, which I didn't know at first either what a pledge is, I've learned so many new words. Go figure. A pledge is just a fresher, like a freshman boy that comes in and he's pledging to put a bid in to be in a fraternity. And if you don't know how that works, when they put that pledge in, there's several different fraternities that there's a bid, anyway, there's a whole story. They go around to all these different frats, and all these frats have all these questions for them. And whether it be questions or whether it be how good can you party, or how good can you lie, or whatever it is, I don't know what they ask them. But anyway, then eventually on bid day, they get a card that tells them what fraternity, if any, has accepted them in. And then they have a whole nother, that's when the gnarly stuff comes in. So after that, and they get to the fraternity, the chapter, and there's several different ones, they get to do all sorts of fun stuff. For instance, sometimes they get to clean everybody's bedroom in the whole frat house. And they better do it in a timely fashion. And they better clean it just as fast as they're throwing the stuff on the floor, because that's what they do. They will make a mess leave a keg open, whatever they do, coffee grounds on the floor, you name it, whatever they want to do. They'll leave that mess just to make that fresher, that pledge, clean it up, to break them down, to build them up. It's the motto. Break them down to build them up into what they think they should be. To be a frat boy, to be worthy of joining and being a brother in that fraternity, which is a lifelong endeavor. It's not going away. So that's not all they do. I mean, they do things like, they do things like with fruit and with rocks. They do it with fruit and rocks. So they take like a small rock or a small piece of fruit, like a grape or a raisin to begin with, then a grape, and then to a plum, and then to an apple, all the way up to watermelon or to a jackfruit. I think those get really big. There's something that gets really big that they do it with, but watermelon's a big one. And they make you carry it around all day. It starts with something little, and then it gets something big. Well, I don't know if you guys have seen this, but there's a picture of Pete carrying a big rock. I mean, I'm talking, this is a big rock. It looks like the size of a watermelon. And you have to carry it around all day long. And if you leave it, if you forget it, then you're in big trouble. And then you have to do other stuff. Like another thing that they have them do is drive them around when they're out drinking and getting drunk. They have a pledge, stay sober, and then that's the driver. That's the sober driver that has to drive these drunk guys around all over whenever they want. They're at their beck and call. They do whatever they want. Sometimes they carry all their books and stuff from class to class for them. Thing is, like during this whole time, these guys still have to keep up a grade point average while they're being, in a way, hazed. That's the low side of it. That's the, I mean, I'm sure it could be deadly too, but that's not the hell week. That's the week, the last week. That's the week that's gnarly. But that sometimes it doesn't happen or last just a week. Sometimes it even happens after the fact, after they're already in a fraternity and been accepted in. It still happens. Sometimes it's not just to freshmen. Sometimes it's juniors and sometimes seniors. There's been cases where they've been hazed to death. Yeah. They do what they want, when they want, how they want, who they want, whenever they want. And most of the time, they get away with it. Most of the time, they do. It's rare that there's been a case of any hazing type stuff that just goes straight to court and gets, justice. No, that's not how it works. Because every fraternity has a ton of legal help. Their own attorneys, their own judges, and you name it, right on down the line. Because that's how they work. That's how they work. It's like their own enclosed community of all the people they need. Let's see, who would we need? I mean, we could need anybody. Let's say HVAC. We've got an HVAC alumni guy. We've got a judge alumni guy. We've got a prosecutor alumni guy. We've got a defense attorney that's alumni girl, woman. Maybe the stenographer. Maybe the, all the way up. The doctors, the lawyers, the cops. All alumni. The bus drivers, the kitchen cooks, the security guards, the presidents of the university, the president's wives, the cops' wives, the moms, the dads, the uncles, the aunts, the brothers, the sisters, the grandparents, big one. The great-grandparents, even bigger one. This is what makes that town thrive and keep in their own Stepford Wives type awful way. That keeps them out of the limelight. Keeps them like. So what I'm basically, all this crap I just talked to you about, what I feel it boils down to is they're protecting their own, right? That's obviously what's going on here. But whose kid is it? Whose kids are being protected? That's the question right there. Because there's kids that sit their butts in those chairs in that university that have alumni to back them up that are being protected. Who is it? Could be any of them. Because really, if they're in a fraternity or a sorority, they don't want that chapter's name to be turned into mud. Especially something like this. Especially something like this. I mean, yeah, they can be thrown under the bus for something simple. Yeah, no big deal. But something like this? Oh, no. That would bring a bad name to that chapter. And that would bring a bad name to the university and to the alumni. So, whose kids are they protecting? What? Yeah, it's a very good question, actually, if I do say so myself. So, let's see. Bill's got kids. They all have kids, pretty much. I don't know, does Payne have kids? I don't know. Blaker's got kids. In fact, he even talks about that in where they were pouring out the Truly alcohol. He was talking to Hunter and Conrad about his kid, Eric, I think, that goes to U of I. And that hell no would he be in a fraternity. No. That's what he said. He said that to those guys. He said he was not in a fraternity, and come hell or high water, he wouldn't allow him to be in one. Even more so. So what does that tell you? Can someone just please tell me what a grown man, like this man who's been on the force for over 10 years, well over 10 years, is doing, telling these fraternity kids this? What is he doing, giggling and laughing and dumping out the alcohol that he doesn't know whose that is? It could be an of-age person. It's on somebody's property. It's their own personal property, and he's dumping it out and giggling about it. Now what's he doing here? I want to know what this is about. What's he so, done deal. That's what it looks like to me. Grown man acting like this. Supposed to protect people. He was not very nice that night at the noise complaint. And who knows what he's been like at other times, I don't know. Wow. Yeah. For being such a big guy, that Blaker sure does act like a child. Oh, truly. The way he his voice all elevated and he got to pour them out. I learned this from a college kid. Oh, did you? How often did you hang around the college kids? Dustin? Blaka? I don't know. They all acted like children. The creepiest thing about that, it's all creepy, but, well, one of the creepiest things, because it was, like I said, it's all creepy, was the ride-along driver. And do you guys remember watching The Watchers, the channel? She hasn't been around for a while, and I miss her. I loved her stuff. I couldn't wait. It popped up, and I was right there to watch it. I loved her stuff. She made a very good video about a lot of everything, but this one was about the ride-along driver. Now, by ride-along driver, I mean Oh, hold on. Piece of big machinery coming by. Just a minute. Okay, it's gone by a little bit, a little ways down the road. So by ride-along driver, I mean a fella who puts in paperwork request to ride along with the cops on one of their nights. Be right there with them when all the stuff's going down. And he was. This guy was right there, standing right close to the door. In fact, he was directly in front of the door between the cars, full visual right into that house, asking all sorts of really odd questions. You know, like, you know, what happens to them if, you know, they get in trouble? Or what if they don't come out of the house? What do you do when they don't come out? That's an interesting one right there. There's a lot of questions like that. He even mentioned a female's upper anatomy, that he saw something on that. He said that to Payne, and Payne responded back with a giggle, and yeah, I saw that too. They're talking about a woman's tatas is what they were talking about. Now, how appropriate is that? I would say that is not appropriate at all. These are adults. Allegedly. They don't act like it. But they're talking about a sorority girl's anatomy. And it's not just the cops talking back and forth. It is a person, allegedly, that they don't even know that's riding along with them for the night to see how the Moscow police roll, how they pound the pavement out there. What's going on in what do they call it, the beat? Yeah, well. So, on watching the Watcher's video, she doesn't just see one ride-along guy. There's another guy that, even watching the video, I don't recognize him. I don't know where he was in this video. I don't know. I'm going to have to watch it again. And if I remember, God, I can remember this, to put it in the link so you guys can watch it too. Because I wonder who the other guy is that's hanging out while they're on this noise complaint call. Pouring out alcohol, pounding on doors, when the kids aren't even there partying anymore. They have left the building. They were like Elvis, man. They vacated that thing. And they went to another party, because that's what they do. They just sneak out the back, or under, or over, or whatever, and then next thing you know, they're at another party having a good old time, while these cops over here beating on this other door, and that now they're somewhat quiet. I mean, jeez, for a college town. I mean, if you don't want loud, then stay out of that neighborhood. It's directly across the college. That's frat row, man. That is frat row. If you want quiet, you don't live there. That's for darn sure. And if you want cleanliness, oh my gosh, I remember some of the oh my gosh, I don't even want to go there, but dirty. I mean, just like like you don't even want to walk into the house. They're just nasty in every way, shape, and form. And scary too. I mean, I've been in some frat houses that were scary. Thank goodness I had good friends, guy friends that were there. Man, I wouldn't want to be there alone, that's for sure. So, you got them harassing these students and threatening them. They're not just harassing them, they're threatening them with losing their funding, losing their housing. We're only here to talk about the noise complaint. Well, there's no noise. How can it be a noise complaint? Do you just have to see faces? Is that what you want to do? You just want to visually make a mental note of who's in that house at that point in time? Because you damn straight don't write up no report for it, right? Yeah. Maybe they have a shortage of Blah, 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 blah. Maybe they have a shortage of pins in that town. Or, no, it couldn't be because there's lots of forestry guys coming out of there. So paper, they probably should have enough paper. I mean, it is Idaho. There are lots of trees there, right? Maybe it's pens. Could be pens. Maybe it's illiteracy. Maybe they don't know how to spell. Right, They have taken away cursive writing, That's dumb. How do you sign your name if they take away cursive writing? Cursive writing was fun. I thought it was anyway. So who were the ride-along guys? Were they there to case the house? Because, I never thought about this until this case. But wow, what a perfect way to case a whole town. A small college town. Be a ride-along driver for the night. On a Saturday or a Friday or a Saturday. What better time to get a peek into the town's homes? And more than not, of course, it's going to be the college kids town. Because, half that town is college kids. That makes half of the town. Without that university, that town would crumble like that house on King Road. Not only would that university in that town, bingo, it would crumble, but so would Wazoo. Pullman would crumble too, because those two towns and universities hold each other up. They lean on each other. They lean on each other more than just with the universities. They toss police back and forth from each department. They do all of that. It's like a swap. It's like a swap meet. That's what it is. It's like a swap meet. They just swap people back and forth wherever they need to put them. If something's happened, something especially nefarious, they like to do this, is they just take them out of one department and put them in another town, which is how convenient. Right across the border. So it's not even in the same state. Now, how convenient is that? I wonder how many other universities... I wonder, that's a good thought. I wonder if towns on borders tend to have universities on those border towns right next to each other just for that purpose. Never know. Seems plausible to me. Okay. So back to this. Back to this IGG. Whose kids are they? Whose kids are they protecting? And if those kids were not involved totally in the actual blood on the hands, but being an accomplice for someone who is intending to do just that is just as bad as being that person. So there's some good, it makes you wonder. Someone's being protected. So I'm going to continue to play this. This IGG stuff is really bizarre. But I might, well, no, I'll just play it. Okay, so I'm just going to read this right here. So Mr. Kohberger has reasons to be extremely suspicious of the IGG used in this case. Rather than seeing it as some sort of complex tree building that led to him, it appears far more like a lineup where the government was already aware of who they wanted to target. Rather than have the investigation done by someone blind to the fact, the FBI chose to do it themselves. And don't you guys forget that FBI is in the, there's probably alumni in that as well. I mean, more than likely there is. So this is akin to the police pulling in Mr. Kohberger and 5 of his cousins off the street and then pointing at him. Yeah. Think of yourself that way. Think of man, If this case is so important, you guys, because if they allow this to happen, they are condemning a man to a firing squad. This is a death penalty. And they're not even showing how they got to him. The steps it took to get his DNA, his personal DNA. All of our DNA is different. We all have a different DNA. None of us is the same. That's ours, right? That's ours. That's what determines who we are. And this is what they do to find criminals, right? They do the DNA, right, or bill, whatever they call them, write-up. It's not write-up. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So why, if this is the case, what they're doing right here, they could do it to any one of us. All they have to say is, oh, you're guilty. You were in the vicinity, or whoever. He wasn't even in the vicinity, whatever. But point to somebody. He's an out-of-towner. Let's say that. He's an out-of-towner. We don't want our kids going down for this. And we'll pick him. It could have been any DNA. It could have been anybody's DNA, you guys, because there's no path there's nothing to show how they got his DNA in the first place, and how they researched it and put it through all the little things that they put it through to where it pops out in the end showing as his DNA without a shadow of a doubt. But they're not showing how they got there. So it's not proven. There's no steps. So how in the hell can anybody in their right mind be okay with them saying that he is guilty when, obviously they haven't put themselves in that same position, because if it was them, I bet you or their kids, or anybody they knew, I bet you they would be screaming at the top of the hills. Because this is not fair. This isn't fair. This is like me when I'm cooking cooking breakfast for everybody, right? And there's a plate of 6 eggs. And all of a sudden, there's 5 eggs. Now, I don't know who took it because my back was turned. I have no idea. Didn't see any reflection. Didn't hear anything. Nothing. But in front of me, there's 6 people. And I just decide to pick one of them. And that's who it is. Yep, it was you. You got a little yolk on the side of your mouth. It must be you. Without doing or doing any way for me to prove, without a shadow of a doubt, that was this person. They all had yolk on their mouth. But I chose this one. This one was more yellowy, whatever. And chose them, and they're the ones that are guilty. How can you do that? There's no, you haven't proven anything. Nothing. They all have egg on their face. God, that reminds me of somebody. Oh, Lordy. Oh, sorry about that hairball. Ugh. Gotta stop cleaning the cat that way. I had a friend that used to say that all the time. It used to make me laugh. But, yeah, imagine that. Imagine you being one of those 6 people. You love eggs, but so do the other 5 people you're standing with. Psst. You had nothing to do with that missing egg. Yet somehow you're in a lineup. And you're the one they're pointing at. And you weren't even there. You were invited to this little brunch. And you were the late one. You didn't get there till late. Everybody was already there. You didn't even know there were 6 eggs on a platter. And that one was missing. I mean, you were in the bar getting a Bloody Mary. Now that would have been me. I would have been the last one there because I'm always late. And I would have been ordering a Bloody Mary. Yeah, extra olives. Give me all the garnishings for it because I want to eat breakfast out of that Bloody Mary before I even get to the egg. Yeah. Because if you're going to go to brunch, you're going to have to drink that stuff up first because you want to get a little bit of a buzz before you start eating. Because breakfast food will quash that buzz. and if you want, who knows what you're doing on that Sunday. I mean, if you're going to go out, I don't know, doing something, well, it better be something fun you're doing that you don't have to worry about having a little bit of a buzz, So you best not be driving. But with that said, you all of a sudden are the guilty one. And nothing that nobody says around you, because all of them, wasn't me. So, all of them are pointing the finger at you. What do you do in that situation? And that's not just those, it's not just the cook or the servers or the other 5 people that you're meeting for brunch, but it's the whole goddamn town. Because maybe one of their kids went to that brunch. Oh, can't let that fall on my child. Maybe it was a sister, cousin, brother, whatever. You're odd man out, man, and you're going down. So, how can these people think that this is evidence? And maybe there's something that we don't know. Could very well be, but I can't see that happening. I mean, there's nothing that's even pointed to that. So, what do you do? What do you do, man? When everybody's standing there in a circle surrounding you, they've got you up in a corner and they're surrounding you and they're all pointing the finger right at you. He did it. She did it. What do you do? God, that would be the scariest thing ever. And you're not just looking at a slap on the hand, or you don't get breakfast for the next week, or no more eggs for you. No. You are either behind bars for the rest of your life, or you're in front of a firing squad. Yeah. Scary stuff.
Well, wasn't that about a mouthful? No, it's gonna sound wild, but what if he's telling the truth? Turn over.
That made me laugh. I watched this before I put this on here, but I didn't queue up certain spots for it. But yeah, wasn't that a mouthful? That's hilarious. Thanks, Neeks. I needed that laugh. It was funny. I remember that one. In fact, I'm going to back this up just a bit.
Oh, wasn't that about a mouthful? No, it's gonna sound wild, but what if he's telling the truth? Turn over the info. You have the info, you think it's so great, prosecution worthy, then let's just see it. Bring it. But they refuse to bring it, and here we are a year later. So in this little hypothesis, let's say that they already know that they want Bryan Kohberger. Obviously, it didn't pan out for some of the other suspect DNA in the house, and it doesn't have to. I've seen a lot of people going round and around. How would they know Bryan? Well, why Bryan? Hello? Remember the thing where he did the thing? What's that called again? Oh yeah, a job interview. He was applying for an internship and he applied, wrote about how he was going to help rural police forces. In fact, his job was a research position, a position that would put him in an administrative position, and one in fact where he is able to theorize and hopefully help inundate data the way it's processed and stored and help the police department that he's working for. Remember when Steve pointed out to us how that could be taken in a really negative connotation? Like, oh yeah, you're gonna come come around these parts and fix us and tell us how to run our police station, huh, boy? Ain't you something? Maybe that pissed him off. Maybe he got the job since they refused to say that he didn't. Even claimed they didn't have the paperwork. Well, you don't need any paperwork to say Cat didn't get the job. Maybe he did. Maybe he started going through that surveillance footage. Maybe he started going through body cam footage, since a lot of the Axon video has to be stored and put away in a cloud somewhere. And you know, BK happens to be that dude, right? Maybe there was a reason to frame BK. You don't know?
Think about that, you guys. Think about the body cams that we've seen. Think about the people that have requested these cams, these FOIA, and they haven't received them. They were told no. And usually when they tell them no, what it says on there is that it is an open case, they're still investigating. Something to that fact, right? Well, there's one lady, Hot Ham Radio, who requested eight reports, did 8 FOIA reports. She received 5 of them immediately. Like there was no question. They just sent them everything, right? The report, the cam, the whole works. 3 of them were not. And they didn't come till later. Like they held on to him for a while until, get this, the day that Bryan was arrested is when the information came in to her that she would not receive these, that they were an open investigation or whatnot. One of them was the guy that was wielding the knife at the sorority girls that was on a bike on the bike path. That was one of them. And that seems really weird because that guy turned himself in when he heard what would happen. He that's what they say, that he turned himself in. Yet it's an open case. That seems weird. And the other 2 were just as nefarious, just as weird. I think one involved a guy that was schizophrenic, something to do with the hospital, I think. Which also makes me go back to what I believe. I believe that there is a loose cannon that's got some mental issues, and I'm not talking kopacka, in that town, because once a week, a mama calls in, there's a police report where a mother is looking to get a welfare check for her son because he's schizophrenic, and if he goes off his medication, he gets a little unnerved, things get a little out of hand. Every week. They don't need someone to come into that town from out of state and do what they did. They've got plenty of them there already that are very capable of it, in my opinion, just by reading those police reports. And it happens daily. Up in Indian Hills, the Indian Hills Drive, 500 Indian Hills Drive, report after report after report someone calls in. I mean, I'm talking, you name it. There's so many weird things. One lady comes home to find some guy sleeping on her couch. Another one, and that's same 500. I don't know if it's all the same house. Somebody hiding under the couch. Same thing. Reporting there's people in costumes in her backyard. There's people shining flashlights on the other side of her fence. I mean, you name it. It's on and on and on and on. And they're all really weird. It's not just Indian Hills. It's Palouse River Drive. And mind you, these are the 2 that I've just told you right here are 2 of them in the PCA, that in their reports that they wanted the pathway where this car allegedly came, went, whatever. It came, they said, from Indian Hills. Well, up there in Indian Hills, there's some crazy stuff going on. That's just right up above, literally in between the cop shop and King Road, up off of the back way from Walenta. A hop, skip, and a jump. Indian Hills is where one of his Thompsons live. He lives right there in Indian Hills. So does Judge Judge. He doesn't live on Indian Hills, but he lives 2 streets over from there. So, he's even closer than the Indian Hills, what they're talking about. He's like closer to the King House. We got Kyle Payne up there. Got all sorts of people up there. Fry. Not the Chief Fry, the other Fry. The one that used to be the coroner of Grangeville and Cottonwood. But he no longer is because Cody Funk is now the coroner. But it looks like it might be his kids that live up there. But he's a father that drove his son Kyle back to Sid Mackay that morning or that afternoon of November 13th. Was dropping him off. And when he pulled up, he saw what looked to be the brain on the dumpster at Sig Mackay. But he didn't report it that day. He waited a couple days to report it. But the report's out there. I've got the report. Or a screenshot of it anyway. So all these people are surrounding this house. They live all around this King house. Not only that, but you've got the president who's got literally his line of sight from his house, which is a glass house, mind you. It's all windows. And where there's a window, there's a telescope. For sure. Hands down. Known fact. 100%. Damn straight. And it's literally, the house is even set to the side. So it's behind Sig Mackay up by the water tower. And it's set just offset enough to where Sig Mackay isn't blocking its view. That house was built for him, basically. Oh, it was built for the president. They needed a new house, but it was built for Green. Yeah. Who is Green? Good question.
I definitely don't know that there was. You know what they say about open minds?
In 2019, the Pullman Police Department entered into a beneficial agreement with Washington State University's Department of Criminal Justice and Criminology. This collaboration formed a research consortium aiming to maximize the use of law enforcement data and address local research needs. This cost-effective partnership not only saved resources for the department, but also provided valuable experience for a WSU doctoral student, Megan Parks. Pullman Police Department has yet to release an annual report for the year 2022. This, along with the additional evidence that BK might have secured the internship, stirs curiosity. Such evidence includes the redaction of BK's email address, tagged with a censor sticker indicating employment or employee info. Upon being queried by journalists, the department declined to comment, citing advisory direction. The traditional inclusion of the intern in their annual report, coupled with the noticeable absence of the 2022 report, further intensifies the speculation about BK's possible internship. Their continued refusal to confirm or deny whether BK received the internship only adds to the intrigue.
Haters are rolling their eyes and being like, conspiracy theory. Bitch, please. You'll know whenever I'm conspiracy theorying out, because I'll be like, yo, I got something to tell you, but it's some really crazy shit, okay? And I know it's going to sound crazy. Probably am kind of crazy. But here's the crazy thing. But except this part isn't actually crazy, because...
So, before we listen to her, Neeks, talk about the crazy thing, think about this. Think about those body cams that nobody gets to see. Think about those body cams that these people that thought they got the full meal deal body cams, the real McCoys, yet they're scrubbed. Clips taken out. Audio taken out. Little mirages put in there. Black smoke clouds. In other ones that I've seen, there's actual very, very much... like, what type of person? An anal. I'm going to just say anal people. Is that, they make things have to be so perfect and just exactly like the spot, exactly covered up. There's those videos out there. That is a total, in fact, those videos, they're scrubbed in a totally different way. They don't just slap a big black cloud over it. And behind this black cloud, we can see movement. but you can't really, you can't really decipher what it is. You think you can, and sometimes actually you can, because that black cloud isn't black enough. They put a little too much opacity in it. But this person's stuff, you don't see anything. It's like a perfectly built wood fence, slats and all at the top, cut out, fence post at the top. And it's like this most beautiful wood. It looks like almost like a petrified rainbow wood, but in more of the gray and blue tones. That's what you get to see when it's blocked out. A perfectionist in their mind's eye. It's got to be perfect. You can't see anything. Perfect time slot. Not just a bunch of black smoke slapped on there that's going to dissipate as it goes, as the scene we're not supposed to see is gone. It eventually just evaporates. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's there for a while. Maybe you see a foot. They forgot to put black smoke over a foot or something. Not this person. This person has a very just, like I said, anal way of making sure they're perfection, like it's done, like you can't see nothing. No one's going to catch this thing. Not until I'm ready. Not until I'm ready. Because I'm going to be the one that blows the top off of this one. Right? Hidden until I say it isn't. And there's a lot of those. So what if Bryan what if he did work there, and he started this thing, and he's watching those things. Can you imagine? I mean, just a little small amount of body cam videos that we've got. Oh my God. Can you imagine the library of things they have over there? Oh my God. I think that's a job that I couldn't do, because I think it would drive me absolutely batty. I would be seriously, oh my gosh, because I don't think I'd be able to stop watching them. Yeah. I mean, some of them, fine. It all works out. It's on the up and up. You can tell it's on the up and up. No, nothing nefarious going on here. Pretty much, you can tell within a shadow of a doubt. But ones like we've seen, oh my goodness. Yeah. Okay.
But except this part isn't actually crazy, because entire fucking leadership of WSU's police force is forced into retirement, and old Gary moves on from Pullman Police over to WSU. So he is in charge of the guys who would later end up in the probable cause info, and he also gets to personally sign the paperwork where he bars Kohberger from ever coming back to WSU campus. Hook, line, sinker. Now, defense attorneys have made it quite clear that they don't have any idea what's going on, and in fact, the New York Times knows more about the investigative genealogy work that the FBI allegedly completed on Bryan Kohberger's DNA than his defense attorneys. Now that's saying something. But they apparently know a lot more than anyone, especially since they reported originally they were looking for a Nissan, apparently, to this reporter, according to the report.
Oh, that car, huh? Well, I do believe I had that car as well. And in the Google search, it does look to be like it's being surveillanced by two separate vehicles. One of them is wearing a shirt that says PR Media or something on the back of it. And the other one is a UPS driver. Go figure.
Well, that was a terrible way to say that. Anyway, we'll get to that in a minute. So yeah, it's actually a fucking fact that the chief in charge of those WSU cops who are alerting Moscow allegedly about the 2015 car that didn't actually fit the description that they had communicated that they were looking for, but they could just reverse engineer their case, no big deal. And to close out this little part, there we have Gary as a live connection, more connected to this dude than we've ever been pointed towards his connection with with the Idaho4 victims. Kinda interesting, right? Especially for everyone to be talking shit, like, yeah, why would they do that to Kohberger? I don't know. Use your imagination. It doesn't always work out pretty for the new guy on the force. Just ask this cop who barely worked for Post Falls for a year after being the new guy there from Hawaii. After he winds up calling in for help on his radio, he doesn't respond back, and it turns out, I guess he had a big ol' heart attack behind the wheel. May he rest in peace. Something about this struck me as kind of sinister, but it's pure speculation. So that's all I'm gonna say about that for now.
Okay, I've got a story about this. And this is so weird. Okay, so many years ago, I got a really super duper bad cat bite and scratch. I mean, on both my hands, I was covered in it. And I almost died. So the doctor that was taking care of me, he literally did everything for free. Like, they never charged me anything, which was crazy, and cool. But the reason being is because they'd never seen anything like that before, and it was he called it a training experience for his office, for his people, and they were awesome. I mean, I was in there every day for the first week on IV, second week every other day, third week every third. I mean, it was bad. Well, during this time that this was going on, I'd have to have these IVs in there, and the nurses would come in and chat with me and stuff like that. Well, one of the nurses was, she used to be an ER doctor, or nurse, and she was telling me these stories, and one of them was, if you ever wanted to get rid of someone quick, with no signs, you couldn't tell, like, it's untraceable. She says that they take the heart medication, like those pills you put underneath your tongue, I think is what she was talking about, that dissolve if you're having a heart attack. Well, it's something that she says, one person came in, and what happened was they assumed they had crushed these pills and put the residue on the steering wheel. And so the person's bare hands touched it, and it literally gave them a heart attack, and they ran over a cliff. They ran off the road over an embankment. And got killed. And so when I saw this, that's immediately what I thought of. And what does that take me to in my head? Gritman Hospital. And who is from Gritman Hospital? The CIO from Gritman Hospital? Oh, that would be Kane. And who's Kane? He's the one that owns the Lindow Lane apartments right there. You know, the one where we got the surveillance from? Oh, yeah. And he's got a son named Sage. Sage has a drone company. Oh, he also bought a new real estate company. Sounds a lot like the Dan Esty one, but Dan's was like, I don't know, like Bluebird Real Estate, and Sage is a Blue Sky Real Estate. No, so it's different, but it's not. Oh yeah, that's right. Sage wants to build affordable housing for the students. Yeah, that's one thing he wants to do. That's pretty cool. He's got several real estate companies, by the way. That drone company is kind of interesting, though. Oh, anyway, he likes to take pictures for Instagram. His real estate account on Instagram. If he gets a sunburn, he likes to get a little coddling for it. Oh, poor guy, you got a sunburn. But what he likes to do is stand in front of the mirror and take a selfie with the reflection in the mirror of pretty much his naked body. Like, he's not wearing anything. I mean, you just can't see the noodle or the nuts. Or the bum. Just barely. I mean, you just know it's there. And you're just thanking God that you're not seeing it. Because it's bad enough already as it is. And sunburn? Oh, dude. I've been more red when I've been embarrassed than that. Sunburn? No. You just wanted to show your reflection. In my opinion. Well, in my day, what that's called is a flasher. Some people, I think, nowadays they call them creepers or something like that. Wait. Wasn't there something about a creeper that there was coming around the house? They talk about a creeper being outside. That's right. Do you guys remember that? Oh, yeah. I know. Right now I'm acting like I'm just realizing this now, but no. I meant to tell this whole story.
Engineering the case. So
Okay, this is so weird. I was typing in that's my creeper laugh when I laughed after that, and Super Squad came up, and I have no idea why it showed up there. So I just thought I'd tell this little story and make a little picture, for you guys, because I love you. Bye.
What if they just said that they got Bryan's dad's DNA, but actually what they got was Bryan's DNA? Whether it be just a mere transfer DNA or what have you, well, now they've got it. As I just mentioned, we already know that they knew Kohberger, so it's not like they just pulled some stranger out of a hat. And it's certainly possible that they already knew who they were gonna hone in on, and that kind of seems to be the problem, right? Defense has been pointing out New York Times knows more about the IGG than we do, and the prosecution has not been clear to the public nor to public defenders about which thing led to Kohberger. Now, a lot of people...
Hey, Rocky, watch me pull another rabbit out of my hat. Again. You guys remember that? Oh, God. There was this one little piece of my life where, God, we used to say that all the time. When something was like, what? Are you serious? Hey, Rocky, watch me pull another rabbit out of my hat. Again. Then this little squirrels on the train tracks, that kind of thing. Anyway, just thought I'd put that in there. Because I'm weird like that. And because you guys expect it.
People are not making as big of a fucking deal out of that as it should be. And let me tell you why. Because the scope of that is going to come all the way back to the arrest itself. And it could very well wind up being the fucking gauntlet. You remember when Bill points out, we can't just hone in on him because of IGG. So they don't need the IGG info because we didn't use that. That wasn't our probable cause. So what was their probable cause?
Yeah.
Because the loose connections to the Hyundai Elantra damn sure ain't it. To reiterate, we're going to talk about the Elantra too, but high and tight on the issue. They cannot just hone in on someone that they want to investigate.
Hey, you guys and gals. Jazz hands. With this said, thus far in this video, I am going to beseech you go and watch the rest of this video because she needs credit for this. She did a really good job, as she does with all of her videos. And I think you should watch them all, like I have. So I'm going to link the description. In fact, I'm going to put it in the description, and I'm going to put it in the first comment. And I'm going to pin that baby. So anybody can find it. Even if they're not looking for it and they want to put blinders on, it's going to be right there in front of them eyes. Both two of them eyes. Both all of us. Yeah, both all of us. Going to be there. Why I did that accent, I have no idea. Don't have any clue. Okay. So I'm done. This is over an hour long. I can't believe I talked that long. Come on. Who believes that? Okay, love you guys. Have a great day.